Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to change the world one starfish or one person at a time. As always, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share, all the things. That's how we get the word out. By the way, last year we grew 14%, which is pretty cool. This year is to grow like 50%, so make sure you're sharing this stuff. Anyway, I'm excited for our guest today. Larry and I have known each other through Arte. He's down in Montana, so kind of like a nearby neighbor-ish. And close as we can get, really. His company is Reflections Water Garden, where he does waterfalls, pools, and ponds. I said everything water, which I love water. And started his business in 2010, but has been in the industry since 2004. Thanks for being on, Larry. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I wish I was in Montana, but I am actually outside of Chicago.
Oh, I get all the places wrong. I should know this, but anyway, Chicago, Montana, yes, because we met up in Chicago. Sometimes I wonder about my world, but anyway, so he's in Chicago. Wishes he's in Montana, except it's probably colder there right now. Family guy, all the good stuff. So tell us a little bit what got you into, water. I don't know what you want to call it, water things for houses.
Yeah, waterscaping. When my wife and I built the house that we're in now, she wanted a pool, but we didn't want a normal pool, just a concrete box with a cover, and couldn't find anybody to build what we had a vision for. We actually tried to contact a couple other companies. Nobody got it. So then finally, I found somebody that said they could do it, realized they didn't know how to do it. But that person said to me, hey, I think this could be something, these swimming ponds and natural swimming pools. So I wound up leaving the landscape firm I was with, went to work for that person. And then end of 2010 went off on my own.
Very shortened form. I like it. Found a need, wanted something, decided to build it yourself, basically. That's
exactly.
Awesome.
Pretty much.
So we were chatting a little bit before. Well, first of all, actually, I love to back up even past that. Have you, when you started your own business in 2010, did you come from an entrepreneurial family? Where did that idea even come from to branch out on your own?
That's a great question because for some reason, no entrepreneurs. Well, okay, my grandfather owned a tavern in the city, so maybe there was one. But for some goofy reason in the back of my head, I always wanted my own company, but had no clue what to do. Never worked for anybody that taught me or trained me how to run a company. And ultimately, I came home from the landscaping firm I was working at, telling stories, and my wife looked right at me and she said, quit your fucking job. And then she bought me a pickup truck the next day.
Good wife.
And she's a great wife, and said, just make enough money to take care of to pay for the truck and take care of stuff around the house. I didn't have a job.
Oh, wow.
And then slowly people started to contact me. Just built it little by little, met people along the line. But still really had no idea how to run a business. I just felt if I could go out and build really cool stuff and show people what I could do, that the work would speak for itself. And it grew little by little. It was really a one-man show for a couple of years with part-time people here and there.
Wow. So your biggest support's obviously your spouse, so we don't have to worry about that as part of the life.
Oh, God. Yeah. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you.
Which is really awesome. So, with your family, though, they weren't, entrepreneurial, like you say, grandpa maybe, but not your parents. Yes. As you went out and did this, did you have a lot of backlash from people that were close to you? Well, obviously, thankfully, not your wife, but outside of that zone, did you have a lot of people that were like, what are you doing?
I don't know if it was that so much, but people would be like, and we hear stories from our mentors say, how's that little vitamin shop going? But it would be, hey, how's that little landscape company? How's that landscaping thing going? How's this going? Yeah, okay, it's going. And now they see it and they're like, holy shit.
It's not just a little thing.
It's not the little thing anymore.
That's awesome. Very cool. So doing through, we talked about some of the challenges that you're working on still, obviously, but some of the things that you've also kind of maybe partially figured out, at least they've got you this far. What are some things that you've really worked on? I know you were talking about culture and it with employees and stuff like that. You want to dive into a little bit of what you found, and maybe it'll help some people that are working on the same situations.
Yeah, well, so culture has been huge the last year, and then we've been working on financials as well. But building, you know, the brand, but helping the guys realize the mission, core values, what we stand for, who we serve, but more than that, just what do they want to get out of this experience and being part of our team, and how can they get what they want by being here? I said that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to be able to see their vision inside of working with you
Mm-hmm.
to achieve their goals. So one thing we did early this year is we had the guys find images online and we made vision boards for them. So
Mm-hmm.
they brought in cutouts, digital images of what they wanted. Some of it was financial, some of it was, vehicles, family, vacation type stuff. And I opened up Photoshop and made collages for them, and they hang on the wall at our shop where they can see it every day.
Cool.
And it was cool because I thought I was going to hang them in one part of the office, and they said, no, we want to hang it here. So when we're sitting here and walking out the door, we see it every day.
Cool.
So, yeah. So
Vision boards.
culture's been huge.
That's cool. What are some of the challenges you've had to overcome? You talked about letting people go, and weeding cancer out is really important. What are some challenges that you've had to come to start to build a culture that sounds like you guys are, starting to have today?
Well, I mean, one of the challenges was is I would have people that they were good at working, but everything else, it was just a mess, and a lot of that was their personal lives, or or they weren't living up to the company core values we were establishing. And you could just tell it in their body language as we started implementing these things. And you hear that people will weed themselves out, and it does it happens, it works. You know, yes, you have to fire some people, but there was my lead guy for 7, 8 years, I think. We worked side by side together for years. Um, I don't know what was going on with him, but it just got to the point where he walked off a job site one day. The rest of the crew was there, and I said, "He's gone. We're gonna finish the year." And it was like, man, what did I do wrong? But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Hmm. Tell me more.
Was
Tell
him
me,
leaving.
tell me more about that.
It, it was just odd because like we were like family. He'd come to the house for holidays, and we would do stuff, tried to help him. Um, we learned together because it was he and I building all these things for many years. And just I don't know what got into his head.
Still
Um,
don't. Hmm.
Still don't know to this day.
Hmm.
It got to the
Interesting.
point where I wound up having to block him on social because it just posting just it's like I, this is this is just bad. You know.
Hmm.
Listen,
And how did that, like, now I'm going to stereotype that I feel like women are more sensitive, but I could be wrong. It's a stereotyping. But how did that make you feel? And how did you work through some of
well,
that
horrible
feeling?
because
Because
I
to
had no
me,
idea
I'd be
what was.
really heartbroken. I'd be like, because I've had that happen. And it's like, I really have to work on like not being emotionally attached or like
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I did the best I could and whatever, but it's still hard. Like, I'm like, I thought you were my friend.
Well, and it was funny because for years he would go down and be like, he would tell my wife, right? Like, I'm only going to be here for a couple more years. Larry's going to have to find somebody else to replace me. He's going to have to find somebody else to replace me. One day I got to leave and he's got to find somebody. And then I wound up hiring a person that I made my operations manager to help me. And then either he, the laborer guy, he just didn't get it, and saw it as a threat, and then it really just went downhill
Hmm.
quickly after that. But that's where I was like, what the F am I doing wrong? I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to help this guy. I'm trying to grow and do things, but didn't have that knowledge of culture,
So what did you,
business.
I'm curious. So what did you learn from that? Was there things that you took out of that that you would do differently, um, have done differently going forward that either would have kept him or got rid of him sooner or wouldn't have been such a shock? I don't, what did you learn out of that?
Well, one of my big things is I assume everybody understands what's going on
Mm,
and
yeah.
and knows the plan. So it's the whole assumption thing and just having open conversations and saying, "Hey, I'm hiring this guy to do this and help me with this. You're still doing that." Um, because even now, it's like you just lay it out for the existing crew, and this is where we're going. This is what we want to do. This is why I'm bringing on this guy. But at the same time, asking them for their input has been huge, you
Mm,
know. Um, and that helps develop them thinking as well, because now it's the buy-in and now they're contributing.
that's
Um,
cool. Yeah, more buy-in, more
but yeah, just
conversation.
assuming that everybody understands what's going on and everything's fine.
Hmm. Not always that way.
No, not at all. Not
That's
even
awesome.
close.
So if you were, you're talking to someone on here that's, a young entrepreneur, 'cause I think that's probably be a lot of them, just getting going. What are some tips that, you just mentioned something, talk to your crew more, explain what's happening, where you're going,
Yeah.
what's your vision? What are some other things that you can think of that would make it, I don't know, some potholes that you fell in, some road mines you hit that maybe others could avoid by knowing about them?
I think one of the large one was the core values, and then determining the vision, but then developing operating procedures that, excuse me, I take for granted, but because I'm in the field a lot, I work with the crew. Now the goal is develop all these SOPs and it's documented and teaching the guys so they can run it on their own, and I'm out doing more selling.
Right.
Um, I'm not on the site as much as I used to be, but I'm still there. Uh, so developing the operating procedures and make them so simple that somebody can just walk in and do it. Now, the challenge on my side is we're more artistic. So finding the person that has the eye to do some of the rock placement and things we're doing. But we're developing that. And then learning about financials has been big. I used to just pay cash for everything and would not invest if I didn't feel I had the money. And then I learned that there's I have access to money, and as long as I use it correctly, I can grow and get to that next level. So we've been doing that this last year.
Cool, that's exciting. That's awesome. So tell us, like, what's one of your favorite, what you call it, waterscapes that you've done that just kind of stands out that you just had a lot of fun at?
Oh wow. Um, they're all cool. And then, but I think one of the coolest ones I did was a consulting job. So we didn't actually build it, but it's a 5 acre water park in the Wisconsin Dells. It's all naturally biologically filtered, and it was a it was a fun project to be part of. And then when they finally opened this year, I brought the whole team up there and we had a blast for a day.
Oh, fun.
So it was great. But when you build something in someone's backyard, because we do it to give them peace and tranquility. We have a tagline or slogan to escape to your backyard. Because with all the stress and all the shit people deal with,
Hmm.
especially during COVID, people spent money on their properties to
Yeah,
relax.
yeah.
And so that's what we provide them. And then when, somebody gets to enjoy that and you see the look on the family's face and the kids are running around once you turn it on, it's just pretty cool. It feels good.
That would be cool. I imagine you have pictures on your website, stuff
Yeah,
like
we've
that.
got some.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. I love it. So guys, if you're, looking for some options, check out Larry's website and what he does. We'll have all that in the show notes for sure.
Thanks.
Which is awesome. I love it. So in wrapping up, I always have three final questions and then anything that we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners. So we learned about culture today. We learned about, having a supportive wife is really important, or supportive
Yes.
spouse. That's awesome. And going out and working so that they stay supportive. That's always a good thing. That's on you, the entrepreneur, if you're listening to this. Anyway, first and final question is, if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence that you could say that could help them find it?
Oh gosh. Because I was just listening to a podcast this morning and I was driving around. Like sometimes I struggle with what's my purpose.
Mm,
Um, so to think of I did an exercise once with a coaching group, and what we did is we had all these cards and we were asked different questions, and finally you were eliminating one by one by one, and then finally it was my wife's name was the last one, and that was my purpose. That's why I was there doing what I needed to do to build her up because she was so supportive of me for all these years.
that's cool. I
I don't know
like
if that
that.
answers that question, but
Does it also gives people, if you're listening, you're like, I don't have one. Sometimes you don't have one. Sometimes it's just like doing the work. So I think that that's also a big takeaway from that. Number two, what's a favorite quote and why?
well, you'll probably get this one, and I don't know why it sticks in my head every now and then. Um, all you can do is all you can do, but all you can
All you
do is
can do is
enough.
enough. Yeah, Williams. Yep. One of my favorite quotes. I love that one.
Yeah.
And third and final question for me is, what's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Say that one more time.
What's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Didn't quit.
I like that. All right. So you run into someone in the coffee shop. They're like, hey, Larry, I'm going to work on this culture thing, have some core values, not quitting. That was even good right there. Doing our best, all that good stuff. What's something we didn't touch on that you think is just really impactful for our listeners to hear?
Don't be afraid to ask somebody for help and join a mastermind group, mentor group. Because one of the things I learned is people want to help you.
Associations.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you haven't really keyed in on that, like key in on that.
Yeah.
This is something that's
And high
really helped
value
me.
associations as well. You know,
Yes.
there's what the other quote. Uh, Shit, no, I forgot. But it's pretty much whoever you're surrounded yourself with, you'll grow to that level. If you stay in a different association that's not where you want to go, that's your friends will keep you there.
Yeah. Stay with the pigeons. You'll be a pigeon. Um,
Exactly.
that's so awesome. Guys, I know you want to share this. Like I said, check out the water stuff. I just love water. So I just think this is so cool what Larry does. But let's go out there. Let's rate, review, subscribe, share all that stuff. And let's go out there. Let's change one life or one starfish at a time. If we can change one life at a time together, we can change the world. Thanks for being on, Larry.
All right. Thank you.